Let's look at directed reading. Now, when you move from phonics out of phonics and you're having a class, you do what's called a directed reading. I have also how to do it individually, but you'll notice that the emphasis moves to syllable work for directed reading out of phonics. Syllable work and syllable division. It's the very thing Pep Baker is meant for directed reading. You basically get right into syllable work, okay? You're going to see how I'm going to run a directed reading. This would be a Schedule 5 for a class, okay? Let me make sure you got it. And this is a comprehension fluency lesson.
On the boat, they pull the boat, they get on the boat, there's a barrel, they
Directed reading, vocabulary, background, or content.
When we move out of fast to literature books, we want to do directed reading. And the first thing we want to do is to make sure kids have the understanding of the basic syllables. We have a slogan for that called covers. And so we often begin by introducing open, closed, and silent E, and how to vowel tag and change. That we do in the first couple days. Then we pull vocab that fits that from our literature text. Then we'll teach the R family, okay? And then from there, we will be starting vowel.
Okay, what I just said is exactly how you start Pep Baker. Open, close, silent E, R family, vowel tag, and a few days later, vowel change. I created Pep Baker to do what you do with a class with this book, okay? That's why it follows my phonics for older kids.
Names and doing endings and prefixes. You can basically get through all 6 syllables in about 2 weeks. So we do that, and then we're pulling words. For each short story, we're pulling words for vowel tagging. I'll have the children actually pencil so that I can see it initially. And this would be an example of words I pull from a novel or a short story. So all the kids would have this, the child would go former, panic, optic, wrath, moisture, spectacular, former, canopy, organization. The deal here is the kids will work out the words, and as I have kids finish, they'll come up and swing up in the words. This is actually farm. They will swing into the words. So as a child finishes, one will come and swing up on my board, then another will swing. And then I will.
You can actually make this as a handout and pass it out for them to vowel tag as a handout, okay?
For the class, kind of have an idea which words they're going to have trouble with. So I might think that these 2 might be vocab words, in which case I go to the text and I read it to them in the text. John did an amazing play. His spectacular action saved their the ball game. What do you think spectacular means? You might say, well, it means something pretty amazing. It's something wild. Okay, then I might read moisture in a sentence. Sometimes when I read it, you can't get it from context, in which case we have to look it up. So I start with this, but the literature books I choose actually have these yellow marked in their text. And I like Treasures a lot from Macmillan because they have the vocabulary in their short story introduced in a 2-page story. So I'll actually have the kids vowel tag with a business card or whatever, right into the words and figure out the meaning from context from the short story, okay? Then we're set for the long story. So we'll do vocab. Now here they read and they have to finish this. He had a good rep with the artist. What do you think goes there? Reputation. So they write reputation. I'm teaching them how to guess from context. Susan wanted a new when she got married. Residence. Okay, so the children would fill that in. So I'm teaching them how to use context. So here we're.
So basically what we're teaching here with the syllable is that if you're following the syllable in context, you have a much better chance of guessing than just with the first letter. What I will do is if they have any trouble, I would add id. I'd say you need to go farther with the word, reze. And then if they don't know, I'd add ins.
Tagging. the meaning from context, using context. Then I check their background. If they have a large background, there's very little new concept. If they have a small background, there's a lot of new concept. New concept should generally be done visually. So if you're reading about New York and the kids don't know about New York, you need pictures in New York or cut of a video. You can't talk a kid into New York. So background, new concept, but new concept in your story often has to be visual. So I did a book called Doomstone by Zendel. It's a wild book. And there's a creature that hung out in Stonehenge. Well, I had to have pictures of Stonehenge. Otherwise, I couldn't describe it like it really is. Okay? So you check the child's background and teach new concept. Some teachers prefer KWL in place of that. You check what the kids know. Then you teach visually what they need to know. Then you ask what they want to learn. If they don't want to learn much, you go through the W questions on the no column. And then when you're done, what they learned. This is better for factual material, but it can be done, especially what do you know and what do you want to learn can be done very nicely for fiction. I prefer this for fiction and this for factual material. Then you give a purpose. We know from studies that if you tell kids this is going to be on the main idea, they do better on the test on the main idea. If this is going to be on facts, they'll do better. In other words, kids need to read for a purpose. My purpose is I want you to make a gist statement. Somebody did something because. That's your purpose from this reading. Okay. This background should take 15 minutes. 7 to 8, 4 or 5, a minute. Okay. Now, studies indicate the kids learn better if they have story grammar. Stories follow either a wave or a burger. The wave is an introduction, like if you go to a beach, you're going to see a wave start, then the wave will rise, that's rising action. The climax will when the wave goes over, and then you'll have falling action and a conclusion, okay? So introduction, rising action, climax, conclusion, and that revolves around a conflict. So at a beach, you have the who, the where, the when. Okay, you have people there and they're there at such and such time. And then you see the wave coming. And as the wave comes, a mom might take her child and move her from the beach. Other people, as they see the wave, might grab their board and run towards the wave. As the wave gets bigger, more people might leave the beach and more might try to catch the wave. As the wave climaxes, several people get smashed to the ground in the sand and they leave. Others ride the wave. So the conclusion is younger kids leave the beach, older come. Stories follow this, and the conflict is person against nature at that particular conflict. You have various conflicts, person against person. Okay? So some stories follow the wave. So I'll introduce the wave, and when we do a short story, I will then have the kids point out what's the introduction, what's the rising action, the climax, falling action, and conclusion. Expositories follow a burger. Just like a burger has a top bun, a bun, and the meat. Essays will have a main idea or topic sentence, something that will cause a fight or a disagreement. It'll have a conclusion, but we don't want just bun. We want the facts in the middle, the burger, cheese, the lettuce. That's what we want. We want more of that. Okay? So essays will usually start with what's the topic sentence, what are the supporting points, and what is the conclusion. So I will introduce the stories or material with these story grammars. Okay?
Now, that's one of the main comprehension techniques, improved comprehension is storyboards, along with picturing, paraphrasing, prediction, inferencing, main idea. This is one of the key ones. So that's why that is added. Okay.
Okay. Then story grammar. Then when you start the story, you want to do a think aloud. So the teacher will read the first paragraph or two and think aloud whatever technique they want them to use. So I might be, if I'm teaching picturing, I will make pictures. If I'm teaching inference, I will infer, but I do it. Okay? Then I can have the groups Kids get in reciprocal groups of 3 and picture, paraphrase, predict. I can get them alternate sentence reading, or I can introduce a sticky technique and have them work sticky.
So with a class, you could have a group and they read a paragraph. One gives the picture, one paraphrases, and one predicts. Then they read another and they switch roles. Okay, that's one thing. The sticky technique is a way of remembering where after they read a paragraph, I have a child will draw a little cartoon and put a key idea and put it on the paragraph for memory purposes. So they'll have a sticky on each one. At the end, we take the stickies together and put them in a folder for chapter 1. Then we put them in the next one. And then we have chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay.
The paragraph. Okay. What I want the child to be able to do is spell words that hit procedure. So I want them to be able to spell our family words, silent E words, open, close, silent E words. So for spelling, what I'd like them to learn is the long vowel chart. That's in an open syllable. What do we usually use? The. So in rotation, row, we use an O, so you use the vowel. If there's a consonant sound, we have to add a what? E. End has a what? I teach that.
That's called the chant, the long vowel chant. Open syllable, use the vowel. Consonant after it, you add an E, end has a tail. So note, remember I said that with the high 4s and 5s, if you got time, you do the long vowel chart, right? The bully roll, maybe the hungry. Okay.
And I teach the bully rolls. Hop-ing, we have to put a bodyguard. Hoping, we walk away. And I'll teach CY change. And maybe use I before E except after C, or when sounded like A as in neighbor or away, which is taught at on the Reds. And so basically, then I have them be able to spell this kind of stuff. So I want them to be able to spell words with endings, which are over here, prefixes and endings. I want them to be able to spell words with diphthongs, some devolved teams, and I'll approach the teams as groups. Like
so in directed reading at Stern next year, we are going to set up classes based on my Schedule 5. They're going to be teaching open, close, silent E right off the bat for reading and spelling. And they're going to use words and quotes to get it across.
I'll work on EI, EY words. I'll work on.
And then, so we'll be doing that with vowel tag and vowel change. And then we'll be going to our family, silent E. So these will be used for reading and spelling. We're not in phonics, we're at syllable knowledge. And we'll use words and quotes to get it. We'll then apply it in words in the story using vowel tag. So when you're at directed reading, you're moving out of phonetic code to structural analysis, the 6 syllables.
AY words, that kind of thing. Okay? So the spelling program is simplified. Phonetically spelled as endings and prefixes. Do the long vowel chart, the bully rule, and then CY change and maybe the I before E rule. Then the most important spelling you can do is pulling words from the kids' compositions and have them work on those. So that would be a spelling program to go with this.